Good morning and a very warm welcome to our first United update of the new financial year. World Vision United is the partnership digital marketing platform that helps us reach and engage with supporters in new and ever-changing ways. I'm Martin Campbell, the Senior Director for Global Digital Platforms, and I oversee the development of World Vision United. Last year we redesigned World Vision United from the ground up, and it's now live in that new version in several countries, with even more coming on board each quarter. And one of the questions I get most often at the moment is, how's it performing? So first, in this update, let's talk about performance and about the different types of indicators that we can use to understand and measure performance. Of course, ultimately, the measure of performance has to be the value in the recurring donations that we can raise online to support our work in transforming the lives of the world's most vulnerable children. But digital marketing is a sophisticated and ever-changing field, so understanding that, where that value comes from, is perhaps not so simple as we would like. So in order to understand it and understand how we can reach even more supporters and engage them with our cause, we've got to look at performance from a number of different perspectives. The first set of indicators that we use are those that we can measure directly. Measures like SEM Rush Health and Google Pagespeed each give us a single score that brings together several different dimensions of performance, which all impact on supporter experience. As such, they're a really helpful indicator for us because they're a proxy for the real supporter's experience on the platform. And a key advantage of these indicators is that when we make a change to the United platform, we can see the impact on SEM Rush Health or Google Pagespeed immediately that is published. Of course, we release a new version of the platform every 2 weeks, so that gives us a constant stream of data that helps us continue to improve performance. With direct measures like this, we aim to be leading the sector. And with a Google Pagespeed score of 69, we achieve sector-leading performance and we outperform every other NGO in our benchmark. But it's not just about raw speed. SEM Rush Health measures how search engine friendly our platform is. This measures both technical performance, including speed, which we just dived into with the Google measure, but it also looks at how the content's been prepared and the content and technical structure of the site. So it brings together a number of different things. And with an SEM Rush Health score of 95, we don't just lead the sector, we're delivering an excellent search engine friendly site by any measure. But direct indicators can only tell us how supporters might behave. We also need to measure how supporters actually interact with us online. But before we look at how many supporters join us financially, let's take a look at leading indicators. Leading indicators tell us what happens early in a supporter's interactions with us. Maybe they've only just discovered World Vision and they're just finding out who we are and what we do. Leading indicators are important because they give us a window to the future and they indicate what's likely to happen. They're also important because we tend to have a lot more data for our leading indicators. So when a change happens here, not only does that happen earlier than it might show up in some of our other indicators, but we can also become certain of that change far more quickly. Bounce rates is a key measure of how our platform performs when supporters first encounter it. Here we're targeting a low number because the bounce rate is the measure of what proportion of folks arriving at our site then immediately leave before they even do anything else. Across our platforms globally, we see bounce rates varying a lot. They're typically between about 40 and about 60%, which means of everyone entering what you might call our shop, about half of them turn around immediately and walk right back out the door. The good news here is that with United 4, offices have been able to reduce bounce rate by up to 50%, which means that half of those folks who would previously have just been walking away are actually staying with us to find out more about our work around the world. Now, Improvements in leading indicators are great because they indicate what we can expect to see in terms of value from the platform. But it's when we get to those value indicators that we get to the really important numbers. Here we measure how many people are joining us to change the lives of the world's most vulnerable children and how much income we can generate to fuel that change. Now, although this is the most important number to us, these indicators are not straightforward because they're impacted by so many different factors. The performance of the platform for sure, but also the content, what campaigns are running, and even what season it is. And in addition to all of those factors, we've seen some big one-off changes over the last 18 months when territories have gone into lockdown, for example, and many people are forced to use their computer for a large number of hours each day. It changes behaviour quite dramatically. And the political landscape and news coverage of world events also has a big impact. The value indicator that focuses most on the performance of the platform, which is what we're focused on here, is conversion rate. Conversion rate is still influenced significantly by which campaigns are successful and by many other factors, but they measure what proportion of the folks who visit us go on to become regular donors. We always use a year-on-year comparison for this and for all the other indicators that I've been talking about. And this is especially important in conversion rate because it always varies significantly from month to month, and it also varies a lot by season. So to get as stable a view as possible, we look at conversion rate over as long a period as we can. And looking over the months since World Vision United 4 has been live, we can see that the overall conversion rate has improved by more than 50%. This means that for every 100 visitors last year who decided to become regular supporters, this year, in the same period, 150 visitors decided to support us. So far we've talked about performance of the platform itself, but as we mentioned, the number of people supporting us financially isn't just driven by the performance of the platform. Over the last 18 months, we've seen dramatic changes in external factors that have a real impact on our ability to gather support for our work. And while some of these numbers change month by month and are very variable, in other areas we can see some clear patterns emerging from the data. The most important of these is that paid search traffic or paid advertising, paid campaigns on Google have been an important way to attract supporters to our platform in the past in several markets. But over the last 18 months, we've seen many other charities also focusing on this approach. The result of that is that the cost of each visit from paid search has been driven up. It's more than trebled over that period. That means that the same budget is driving only about a third of the number of visitors this year as it did last year. Another trend is the decline in the quality of that paid search traffic. Visitors from paid search used to convert far more readily than visitors who had, for example, found us through organic search, through normal search results. But now we can see that that gap is closing, making paid search an even more challenging channel for us to find new supporters. But we're also seeing signs of growth. Organic search driven by content, but still from search engines, which was declining, has stabilised since we launched the new platform, and it's also been converting better. And World Vision Spain and World Vision Ireland are already working with the DMA on a social media campaign generating high quality leads through a content focused offering. And other offices will be trialling that over the coming months as well. So that's World Vision United performance. The platform is hitting all the technical targets that we set for it. It's fast, search engine friendly, and its mobile first approach and implementation of the global design system, coupled with fantastic campaigns and contents from Global Centre and individual support offices, are driving increased engagement with supporters. More importantly, these changes are driving real performance improvements in our conversion rates, meaning more of the supporters who visit us end up joining us to support our cause. But that's only part of the story. The real power of a platform like United is that it enables us to experiment, learn and optimize very quickly. The optimisation team, which draws from all offices live on United 4, are already running tests in several areas of the site that are driving real performance improvements across engagement and conversion rate. We'll be sharing more of the details of this in a later update, but some of what we're learning is a real surprise, and things which seemed relatively minor can have a far bigger impact on performance than things that we thought were going to be the real game changers. So the optimization approach that we've taken since launching the platform is really paying off, with each optimization being tested and those which improve performance being rolled out to the whole platform. That's how we can be confident of continuing to improve performance even in the context of big changes in the world around us. And of course, a key part in driving that improved performance is our product roadmap. So let me hand over to Helmut to bring us up to date with what's on the roadmap for Q1.
Those were some really great insights into performance of World Vision United 4. So let's dive a little bit into what's coming up into our roadmap. A couple of weeks ago, we met with most of you from the offices, and we discussed together some of the bigger packages that we had lined up for Q1, and we did a common prioritization based on your insights, based on financial insights, based on data as well. I just want to share with you real quick today what were the outcomes of that discussion, and what's the prioritization that we are going to follow this quarter as a result of this, and what's the current status, how far have we gotten. So we're only one sprint into the quarter, but we have already spent a good deal of time figuring out in more detail what we're going to do. So let's look at the first priority package, which is checkout conversion rate optimization. So all of you agreed that this is something that needs to be prioritized in this quarter. I just looked up the October data for checkout conversion rate, and it's something between 45 and 55%, depending on country. But there's still some low-hanging fruits that we can test, some things that we can improve, some more context we can give to supporters. So I just wanted to run you through the first package that we're trying to test in the upcoming weeks. Of course, as this is a data-driven piece of work, we won't be able to tell you this is all we're going to do in Q1 because we all know it already. Because depending on the outcomes of the first tests, we can then figure out what benefit did they bring. Is it something that could bring up our performance considerably, or is it something where we still have to go down a different route? And so this package of work is quite dynamic within the quarter. Just wanted to show you some preliminary designs of what we're trying to add to the checkout and A/B test, if that actually helps. And so this is based on data that we captured both from Google Analytics and from Hotjar, where we looked at recordings on user behavior where people dropped off and so on. So the first thing you can see is that we changed the navigation steps to provide more details. So you can now see that the navigation step has a name called personal details. You can see that the supporter is on the second out of third step, 3 steps, and you can also see a progress bar telling them where they are. The second bit is that we are switching out the text fields and basically all input fields in the checkout, and we're switching from a third-party library that we used, which was provided by Google, to our own styling and our own markup, which will considerably increase page speed because we won't rely on third-party packages anymore. So that's an A/B test that started this week. So we've already done that. If you check out the sites, in 50% of times you will see the old version, 50% of time you will see the new version. So that's something that we'll do. And in addition to that, the new input fields will be aligned with World Vision's design system. So we can make sure more easily that they're on brand and that kind of stuff as well. The third thing that we're going to test is to introduce a functional color, which has been recommended now by World Vision International brand as well. So you can see that everything that you can interact with is now blue. Everything that you should view is orange. So we are differentiating between the brand color orange and the functional color blue. And this blue is also highly accessible. So even if you're outside with your phone and you maybe have like a low screen resolution or low brightness on your screen, you will still be able to see easily what's going on. So that's another test that we have lined up for later in this quarter. The third one is that we're going to carry product information through the checkout. So on each of the steps, you will see this little card that tells you have just bought a one-off donation for childhood rescue for $130, for example, so that you still have the context of what is it that I'm checking out here. And the last bit that we're testing are trust icons or trust items. So you can configure those per country, where you can say, okay, if I am certified by a certain organization in my country, I can add this. And if the donation is tax deductible in my country, that might be a trust item, but it's possible that that's not the case, and it's something like in the UK, I think it's eligible to gift aid, so that might be a different trust item. So all of those things we hope will add gradually to context for supporters, to clarity for supporters, so that they feel more confident to go through the checkout, so that we can get those 45 to 55% checkout conversion rate up during the quarter. Let me just show you real quick what this looks like on desktop. It's still a very clean design. We have added a gray box around the details, around the piece of the page where the supporter needs to actually take action, needs to fill out their details to provide more focus around that. And especially on desktop or on larger screens, the input fields looked a little bit lost so far. So you can see all of the elements that we talked about on here as well. So that's basically some of the changes that we're going to test now in the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, depending on the results and depending on more insights, we can check out what will be the next steps in this area. So let's go to the second priority as decided in our common meeting a couple of weeks back. So this is child sponsorship sign up, where we currently have something like a 30% click-through rate from landing page to checkout, and where we also want to see that this is actually coming up. So also that's a little bit more top funnel, and we also see quite a bit of potential here to get results up. So the main focus in this quarter here will be on making sure that we not only have an MVP with the same experience for all supporters, but that we enable more experiences for specific subsets of supporters. So we believe that our MVP serves the majority of supporters, but of course there are more specific circumstances where you have marketing campaigns lined up or other content priorities, for example, where we think you might be able to benefit from a higher conversion rate if you give your supporters a more focused experience. And so some of the things that we have lined up in this quarter are to be able to see one child only. That's something that we're going to A/B test against seeing multiple children. So we're going to see, is the decision I want to sponsor this child versus I don't want to sponsor it? Is this an easier decision for people to make compared to I want to browse multiple children and decide which of those children to sponsor? So that might be something that can help us. The second one is to test a no child at all flow. That child sponsorship looks a little bit like another donation where you cannot see a child at all, maybe in some circumstances. And this will help. And I know that some of you don't have a choice due to legal restrictions. So some of you will have to show no child at all. So that's something that we're enabling as well. The third bit is to hide child media in certain circumstances. For example, if the child comes from a non-web publishable country. So that's something that will enable you to offer more child records on your website. The fourth one is to enable a filter-only flow, where supporters don't see an image of a child or even anything from a child record, but they only can say, okay, I want to sponsor a girl from Bolivia, and then they can sponsor according to those filters, but they don't see the child. In addition to that, we're also going to add a couple of filters. So what you can see here on the screen as advanced filters means we're going to add more options for supporters to filter, and we're going to change the UX around filtering as well, as that's currently our MVP. Again, this includes some external libraries, so it will help us with page speed as well if we're switching that out to use our own resources, and it will be in line with the design system input fields as well. And the last one that we're going to enable are bounce backs, and so that includes the option to make a specific donation for Christmas or for the birthday to your sponsored child. As to what we're able to do this quarter, it will be first that the supporter can enter their child's child ID. And we're not going to be able to check that yet against child records. That's something that will come up at a later stage. The second bit is that supporters can write a message to their sponsored child. And the third one is that they can upload an image of themselves so that they can send for Christmas or for the birthday an image. And we're trying to keep the experience for editors and for admins the same as for similar things that we already have in the platform. So for example, supporters can already upload a photo when they donate to Chosen. And the way you can get those photos from the admin area will be the same as for bounce backs, when you can also download photos that way. So that should enable most of you to get your bounce backs out of the door by the end of this quarter. And then we'll get into more automation and optimization around this in the upcoming quarters. So those are quite a few areas that we will tackle in this quarter. All of those will be A/B tested as well. So for example, C1 child versus C multiple children. So looking forward to see if for specific audiences, for specific channels, for specific marketing campaigns, this might help you as well. I maybe just want to add to this one thing that I haven't listed here because it's already available, is to have pre-filtered selections of children or child records on a landing page. So if you have a 1,000 girls campaign, you can show only girls, for example, or if you have a landing page about sponsoring a child in Africa, you can show only child records from African APs. So that's already available in the platform. All right, let's go to the third priority as discussed in our prioritization meeting, which is campaign optimization. So this again is quite a dynamic topic because it depends on how the campaigns are running, which campaigns are running, what we're trying to do to optimize. So I just added a couple of highlights here with an example of a Christmas landing page. So the first thing is, of course, we're going to track all campaigns and provide the analytics out of the box with United 4. The second thing is that we're going to enable DMA campaigns. So for those offices who are running lead generation campaigns with DMA, that's what we're going to enable for you. We're going to integrate the lead forms with the automation at the back of this that DMA is currently using. So this will work for the campaign that's going to start in 2 weeks' time, I think, in beginning of November. And we're going to provide both the content and the technology for this. So we're working with DMA to also implement their content. So it's not like we're creating the content. That's thankfully DMA is doing that, but we're going to implement that content on United 4. We're going to push it to your sites. If your site is in a different language than English, it will be automatically translated by Google Translate, and you can tweak the translations, but you don't have to worry either about the technology or about the content or site structure for this. And then once the campaign is running, of course, we'll gather insights, we'll gather data, and we see what works well, what doesn't, and we will enable optimizations based on that. So the fourth priority that we are going to work on is the gift shop. And now we're getting, so originally we had 5 different pieces of work lined out in the prioritization meeting. After looking through everything in detail, and as we already discussed in this prioritization meeting, the farther we go down the priority list here, the more likely it is that things will start to slip. Currently, we don't have any indication that anything from priorities 1 to 4 will slip. So we are expecting that the gift shop will be implemented by the end of this quarter, but just want to be mindful that we're adhering to the priorities as we discuss them. So this is the priority order we're also working from. And so for gift shop, we already did some preliminary work, did some design. So I just wanted to show you some highlights. So the idea is that your editors can enable as many gifts as they want. The gifts will have a fixed price. They will be put into different categories. So you can have a category like animals, a category like livelihoods, and so on. We will enable a product configuration page where you can have more information about this this gift, and then you can add it to the cart as per usual. So this is what we call Gift Shop MVP. And of course, we have many iterations lined up. None of those iterations will be part of this quarter, though, so we're going to prioritize them all in one of the next quarters. Things like giving e-cards, things like putting multiple gifts into a card at the same time, things like maybe even providing physical cards, things like filtering gifts. All of this is on our roadmap. We're trying to get an MVP out, though, so that we have a baseline performance of that MVP, and that was agreed with your operational colleagues in the offices through our product town halls. And we're trying to test in all the other complexities to make sure we know that we actually benefit and the performance increases based on those iterations. So those were the 4 packages that we said we could work on based on the prioritization we agreed with you guys in the meeting. I hope I was able to give you a little bit of a more detailed overview now of what's actually included in this, what's out of scope for each of those. And as always, we're engaging with your operational colleagues on a weekly basis, trying to work through those topics in product town halls from a product perspective. And of course, Ria and her team are always available for you with updates of what's been released, with documentation, help on how to implement things. And in terms of optimization and of marketing campaign optimization, we're always in touch with you guys anyway, because we need to run those tests and we need to implement this content together with you. So I think there's lots of streams of communication going on with your operational colleagues on each of those topics. So I guess on an operational perspective, we got the implementation cycle all covered. but I think we still want to talk a little bit more with you around the governance of the strategic level and how to engage with United when you're not on the platform yet, or how to engage with United when you are on the platform already. And with that, I'm going to give it over to Martin.
Thanks, Helmut. As we accelerate our roadmap moving into the new year, we're also streamlining our engagement model so that it's as easy as possible for participating offices to get clear information and steer the development of the platform to really tie in with your marketing priorities. That, of course, becomes more and more important as we grow and expand to more and more countries using United. For the new year, we've brought together our participating offices group and our steering group to form a new program steering group with representation from the Global Centre and from every participating office. This group will meet monthly to review progress against our roadmap and to address questions about our strategic priorities. And in addition, it'll meet each quarter, as we did a few weeks ago, to agree the roadmap for the next quarter. If you've already participated in any of these groups so far, thank you. We absolutely appreciate it. It's been very, very valuable to get steers and feedback and best practice from offices right across the partnership. And we really hope that you'll be able to continue that journey with us in the future as we accelerate into the new year. At a more tactical level, we're also operating an optimisation group. And I mentioned this before, this is how we bring together best practice from everywhere across the partnership that we're working. This group meets every 2 weeks and prioritises the optimizations that we want to test, puts them into place immediately and sees what the results are as soon as they become statistically significant. And that plays the key role in driving performance improvements that we're already seeing on the platform. All offices live on United 4 are invited to take part. So in addition to the regular steering group and the optimisation group, we're continuing to run town halls and workshops focused on particular features, and our customer success team are always available to help you get the best from United. And this year you'll be able to stay in touch with all of this here on the United channel, where we bring you a new update each month with perhaps a different focus depending on where we are with the programme and what's important at the time. You'll be able to subscribe to our monthly email if you're not already done. That comes out today. It's a monthly email and you can sign up for that at the link below. And you can also stay in touch on our community hub, also linked below. This contains the latest information about United, as well as everything you need to know to get started and all the information about the latest features as they go live on the platform. So today we've heard how United is meeting the highest standards in digital marketing, driving increased engagement and improving our ability to raise financial support. And we've heard about the roadmap for this quarter to take that performance even further. Thank you so much for joining Helmut and myself today. And thank you for contributing your best practice, your ideas, your time and your passion to make this program what it is today. I really look forward to seeing you next time. Until then.